We're excited to get to the Rude Guest Hotline. Rude makes the most reliable HVAC equipment in the DMV, and talk to our boy, John Talty. John, how are you, buddy? What's going on?
Good. Appreciate you guys having me on again.
Feel free to start your Vodka Rebel Friday whenever you want, John.
Not a bad idea.
I know you're busy, man. You're a national college sports reporter for CBS Sports. You're writing books. You're writing articles. And the college football national championship is Monday night.
Yes, it is.
Are you in Miami yet? What is your plan for the weekend? How do you think we arrived here?
Yeah, so I'll be flying to Miami tonight. So we're getting close to it. I'm excited to get down there. It's pretty wild. Just all of the kind of different circumstances that are all kind of coming to a head here. Again, Indiana, I've written so much about them that, it feels a little bit more normal to me at this point. But again, if you just went back 2 years ago and someone told you that Indiana was going to be in the national championship, you would be absolutely stunned. So that in itself is wild. That their top player is a Miami native, getting to play in front of his hometown is pretty wild. And then their opponent, Miami, getting a hometown national championship. That's like the absolute dream, right? And there are times that, that was the hope, of course, when you hired Mario Cristobal. And there are times where it felt like, all right, they're on the right track. And, they, I think, hit some potholes along the way last season, a couple times this season. As you guys know, last team to kind of sneak into the playoff. And so it's pretty amazing just all that has had to happen just to get to this moment. But yeah, I'm excited. I've seen some blowouts so far. Most of the games that I've been to this playoff run have been blowouts. So hoping for a little bit closer game than what I saw at the Peach Bowl. But I think it's two great stories with both of these teams.
Well, most people looking at this thing don't think Miami have a chance. Would you say the same?
No, I think they do have a chance. I've picked Indiana the whole way, and so I'm not backing off that. Indiana is still my pick. But I do think that there are some things that Miami does, and I think it starts in the trenches. And I think you've seen Indiana can push some teams around. They certainly have given opposing offensive lines a lot of problems. I saw that against Ohio State at times where Julian Sayin was getting rushed. I saw it certainly against Alabama where Ty Simpson was just having probably one of his worst days as a starter. And then again, in Atlanta for the Peach Bowl, and Dante Moore just getting overwhelmed from the very beginning. I do think Miami's offensive line can hold the line. They've got multiple guys who are going to be, future NFL picks, including highly drafted future NFL picks. So I think that gives them, some reason to believe. And on the flip side, you've got guys like Ruben Bain who can make impacts, and I think you're going to have to try to force Fernando Mendoza into a mistake or two. It's hard. He's very steady. He's gotten better and better as the season has gone on, but that's what you're going to have to do, I think, to have a shot. And so I think Miami, just the way that they're built, they're physically tough. I think they hold up maybe a little bit better against Indiana than some of these other teams that we have seen. But Indiana is incredibly well coached. They're very talented. And there's a reason why a lot of people are picking them right now.
It's crazy, man. What do you make of I don't even know that I should bring it up, but like when a team gets really good in college football, other teams start saying they're cheating.
Yeah.
And now there's this theory that Indiana's hacking into the cloud, to watch people
getting
practice tape. Have you heard
first
that?
15?
Does that have any foothold in the college football world?
Yeah, there's definitely been rumors about it, but I don't give it any credence. And I'll give you an example of why I don't. I've been around Kurt Cignetti, a few times at least. I've been around their defensive coordinator, Bryant Haynes, a few times. And, after that game against Oregon, they won 56-22. Oregon got kind of a garbage touchdown, but, Indiana forced 3 turnovers, including a pick six on the very first play. Like, I would argue that was, pretty good day for the defense, right? And after the game, I'm talking to Bryant Haynes of a couple other reporters, and he's just like big, dead honest, stone faced. Like, I thought I had a bad day today. Like, I didn't do a great job calling plays, and I'm going to learn from this. And like, I thought he was joking initially, and there was no laugh. Like, there was just no. I didn't think I had a good day. I'm going to work on this, and I'm going to get better. It's like this guy's a psycho in the best way, and that's like so much of what Cignetti's staff is. It's like he's brought a bunch of these guys with him all the way back from the IUP days. Both of his coordinators worked with him back at IUP, followed him to Elon, followed him to James Madison, then followed him to Indiana. And Cignetti's a grinder. His staff is full of grinders. These guys have come up the hard way, and that's why I think that they're just outworking people. They're out preparing people, and again, Cignetti comes from that Saban tree. Like, they're going to leave no stone unturned, and I think it might just be easier for people to say, "Oh, they must be cheating," than having to accept the idea that Indiana might win a national championship in football.
It is kind of wild, man. Talking with our boy John Talty, CBS Sports college sports reporter. Give him a follow at jtalty, Talty. We did this question the other day. What is the better story? The rise, legitimately out of nowhere, of Indiana? What is better for college football? Indiana's rise or the U being back? Because the U, they are, right? Like, this Miami team is legit.
Yeah.
They got pros all over the field. I think they probably have 6-7 draft picks on this team. What is better and has more longevity to it? Indiana or Miami being back?
I think it's Indiana, and I think there's a few reasons why. One, and I've seen this everywhere I've gone, and I actually did a story about it the other day, but Indiana has the biggest alumni base in America, and they're just
really?
a swarming horde. Like, everywhere in Atlanta, all I saw were Indiana fans. It's absurd. I didn't even know this until they went on this run, that they have 800,000 living alumni. I just never, I don't know, in my mind, I always thought Penn State, Michigan, evidently it's Indiana. And so I think there's staying power. They are investing financially, emotionally in a way they never have before. So I don't think this Indiana team is going away to start. And those people seem very ready to spend their money going all around the country to follow this team. So I think that's a cool thing. I also think that we've heard a lot and talked a lot about there being more parity in the sport right now. And certainly there is. I think Indiana is a blueprint to programs all around the country. I remember doing a story earlier this year after spending time at Maryland, not far from you guys, and Maryland kind of looking at Indiana. Is this the blueprint? Can we spend more money? Can we build things up to try to be more competitive? I think Indiana gives every program in the country hope that with the right amount of investment, with the right coaches, that anything is possible. And it kind of reminds me, there used to always be this kind of fun question that when Nick Saban was dominating at Alabama, it was always what's the worst program you could put him at that he could still have success at? And that question's been answered. It's Indiana with Curt Cignetti. And I just think that would give every program, and if I'm an AD, I'm thinking, all right, why, just because I'm not a traditional blue blood, why can't I win? Indiana can do it. And so I think that could have a big impact on the industry.
I think the flip side is a lot of coaches are oh, hell, I'm going to get fired.
But if you think about it, though, they're spending a lot of money, but they're not getting top-notch, all the name players. They're getting guys that were at James Madison that come in here and they're playing better. It may just be his coaching, not necessarily the money, because a lot of people spending money and they're not having the success they've had in the last 2 years.
Yeah, they've certainly elevated. They've been, I'll tell you guys, they've been aggressive this portal cycle. They added a quarterback from TCU, Josh Hoover. That's a $4 million guy or so. So they're definitely upping the spending. But I agree. And listen, you can look at other sports. I go back to baseball, minus the Dodgers, who are just, what they're doing is absurd right now. But listen, I've seen plenty of Yankees and Mets and other teams who have massive payrolls that don't win at all. So it's kind of about how you're spending your money, not simply are you spending money.
Yeah.
But I think that his eye for talent is really strong, obviously. And I think one of the things that does not get enough credit for him and not talked about enough is just the staff continuity that he has. Again, he's had all these guys follow him, all these stops. They know exactly what he wants. They know what he wants in the recruiting trail. They know the kind of guys that he believes he can develop and groom once they get on campus. And so you're just seeing a very well-run, efficient operation. Everyone's pulling in the same direction, which is why they're able to really maximize the value of these guys that, were 3 stars or so coming out of high school.
Well, dude, how is he not going to lose assistants? Like the OC, Mike Shanahan, which is an incredible coincidental name. How does he not lose that guy?
Well, they're very highly paid, so that helps, right? And those guys are in the $3 million range to be assistants, so that's helpful. And that's kind of where they're oh wow, Indiana has money like that type thing. But I can tell you, Mike Shanahan had opportunities to be a head coach this cycle, and he turned them down. I can tell you that, last cycle, when there were a ton of defensive coordinator openings, Ohio State, Penn State, they all went after Bryant Haynes, and he said no. And so I think those guys are incredibly loyal to Cignetti. He has taken care of them. Again, I mean, Bryant Haynes came into Curt Cignetti's life as the defensive line coach and strength and conditioning coach at IUP. I don't think anybody does a double dip like that anymore, right. Certainly not at the FBS level when he was like 25, and now he's 40 and he's making $3 million with him. So like those guys are not going to leave unless they have to, and I think for both of them, and we've seen this at with Bama and Saban staff, with Georgia and Kirby staff. Those guys, those top lieutenants that those guys have had, they're willing to be more patient to go to the right place. And so, if you want to jump to like Oregon, like Dan Lanning did, or now Will Stein leaving Oregon under Dan Lanning to go to Kentucky, like I think Haynes and Shanahan have kind of elevated themselves where if they're not going to be a head coach at probably a Power 4 level, maybe, like a guy like Mike Shanahan could be an NFL OC. I know there's been some interest in him in that area as well, but they just don't really feel a need to have to leave Indiana right now, which says a lot about what Cignetti's built there.
Wow. Everybody says it's Mark Cuban, but I've heard it's others. Where's the cash coming from in Bloomington?
Yeah, I mean, Cuban's obviously putting some money in. There's no doubt about that. But yeah, it's coming from a lot of places, and it comes from an institutional level. They decided a few years ago that they wanted to care about football, and their university president, I believe, is originally from Alabama. I know had some ties at Georgia, and was kind of like, I care about football. I want to invest in football. And so they started really ramping up their institutional spending. And that's where, again, it comes into effect where being able to retain top talent, they've been able to do that. Being able to give, Cignetti's salary, I think, has like tripled since he's been there. They've been willing to spend up over and over again. So that's a big part of it. But yeah, Indiana has money. And one of the things that I think the SEC is learning the hard way now is that like the Big Ten has a lot of money and they're willing to spend it. And we're very close to now being the last 3 national champions, all being Big Ten teams, all being different Big Ten teams, and kind of showing that there's some different money, maybe a little bit bigger than your traditional card dealer or some of the other ways that SEC schools have had success in the past.
Well, and what's crazy too is like, think about Nebraska. Nebraska's a traditional college football power. I'm sure you got Nebraskans spending money. Like we know they're spending money. They thought they got the guy in Matt Rule, and sometimes it's not just the cash, or you know what I mean. Like Cignetti is clearly doing something that a lot of places aren't. John, there's so much going on though around college football that I want to move on from Indiana, even as fascinating of a story as it is.
Yeah.
Talking with John Talty, CBS Sports National College Sports reporter. Give him a follow at JTalty. Kind enough to join us via the Rude Guest Hotline. Dante Moore, the Oregon quarterback who is a really gifted player, decides he's staying at Oregon when he likely would have been the number 2 quarterback taken. And I wonder, once that kid went through his pro day and got 40 times and everything else, I almost wonder if he could have pushed Mendoza for 1, frankly. He's staying at Oregon. The reports are $7.5, $8 million a year. What is that decision about? And do you think it's because he didn't want to play for the Jets?
That could be it.
I don't think it is. Maybe. I'll tell you what. Like as a long-suffering Jets fan, I'm happy the Jets don't have the ability to take him. Honestly, after what I saw in the Peach Bowl, but I think he's a guy who just needed more seasoning. Honestly, and I know he was super highly projected. And listen, I'm not a draft guru, but I have watched him multiple times this season, and I've told people around me, I just don't quite see it yet. Like, I just haven't seen, I know there's some raw tools there, certainly, but, watch them against Indiana twice, watch him at other games, and he doesn't blow you away. Didn't blow me away against Texas Tech. Like, I just think he needs another year or so to kind of really maximize those raw tools, that raw potential. And I think, it could work out very well for him. Now, next year could be a loaded draft class at QB, especially with Arch, if he can kind of take that next step too. But I just think that if he had gone, say, to the Jets at 2 or somebody else in that top 5, I think he just needs more seasoning, and I would worry that he'd get rushed into the fire too fast, and it could, not work well. I've seen that certainly with plenty of Jets QBs over the last decade plus. So I think for him to be able to make a lot of money coming back to Oregon, get another year at the helm. I mean, he'd only been a starter for a year. I think that can be beneficial to him, get him some more weapons to work with there, and get a chance to be better suited to go to the NFL once he does in a year.
Jack, I don't know if you know this answer or not, but back in the day, guys, when they went back to college, they would get these Lloyd's of London insurance policies. The fact that they get paid now, are they still getting these policies? Because that 1 year payment, if they get hurt their last year trying to go back, may affect a lot more money going to the NFL. Do they still get those policies?
Yeah, they still have been, but it is interesting. Like, I haven't probably checked in on it in like 6 months or so, it's probably worth me looking into. Like, I do wonder at a certain point, like, hey, we're paying you $5 million, like, pick up your own insurance policy. I do wonder at some point, when does that switch? Because, like you said, like, schools picked up those policies.
Yeah, they used to do it themselves.
And at a certain point, like, hey, we're already giving you $5 million. Like, you can cover it yourself. We don't need to pay for this anymore. We're already paying for all this other stuff. So it's worth looking into it. But certainly, I would think he would be smart to, and other guys, you know, if you're Arch Manning, some of these other guys, it would be smart for them to continue having policies just to protect yourself against a catastrophic injury.
Totally.
All right, elsewhere, so Dante Moore staying at Oregon. Didn't I see that the kid Raiola was going to Oregon? I find that I find the young man Raiola to be a giant pain in the ass, frankly. But what are they paying both of them now?
Yeah, that's the plan, and I think he wanted to be at Oregon, was certainly willing to go there knowing that Dante could come back. It's wild to me. I'm still a little confused by it, to be perfectly honest, but maybe he feels like he just needs a year. I mean, I've seen some of the jokes on Twitter, too, of like, oh, Mahomes is going to be out for a while. Maybe Raiola needs to do it as well. But I don't know. I mean, here's what I think is interesting is that there are at least two that come to mind for me, one being even bigger than the other. But there are two big-time programs right now that have thus far struck out on transfer QBs, and that's Miami and Tennessee. And Miami in particular is trying really hard to get somebody in the portal that they can grab. If I were Raiola, I would at least consider, and I don't know how much mutual interest there is at this point as we're here on the final day of the transfer portal, but if I were Raiola, I at least would think about, like, hey, everybody who's gone to Miami, it's worked out pretty well for them. Maybe I should go there instead of being Dante Moore's backup for a year. But it's so messy these days. Like, he might have signed something. I think he did, actually. And then can you get out of it? It's all kind of a mess. So I think he's prepared to be the backup for a year, which is not what I expected. But you know, maybe that is the best thing for him long term.
The kid Chambers at Trinidad Chambers at what's that? Ole Miss.
Ole Miss.
They ruled against him having another year of option, but watching him play, he's as good as any quarterback out there. What are they saying about him at the next level, you would think?
Yeah, well, I think there's two things. Obviously, Ole Miss is still working very aggressively to try to get him back for another year, and he'd be able to make, from my understanding, in the $5 million range for one more year at Ole Miss. And they're about to take it to Mississippi State courts here soon, so we'll see how that plays out. They've been, it's been kind of some pessimism around it to this point, but if he has to go to the next level, you look at the draft class at the QB position. It's pretty wide open, honestly.
Totally.
Like, you've got Mendoza's number one, right? And then you've got Ty Simpson, who has his moments. I could see him being a first-round pick. But, you look at his last couple games, not great. And then beyond that, Carson Beck, I guess, is in there. I think Trinidad's kind of in that top five or so. So, I could see him getting drafted. I think he's played himself into, being drafted higher than people maybe expected. Certainly at the beginning of the year when nobody knew who he was. But I think his hope and priority is still to spend one more year at Ole Miss. But if he's not able to, and as of right now he's not able to, then I think should be pretty well positioned to do well at that next level, especially if a franchise sees what he brings to the table and can kind of maximize that.
Mm-hmm.
Quickly, LSU seems to be spending all the money now with Lane. Have they really kicked ass in the portal now with Lane? Is he taking everybody from Ole Miss? How's that going to work?
Yeah, I mean, they're aggressive, right? And, I mean, he's the portal king, so you knew that was coming. I think he struggled early on. I think he thought more guys from Ole Miss were going to come with than has happened. But you're seeing him make a late furious push to try to get some of these guys. So he's put together a great class. You knew that he was going to do that. And, I think the star of it is Sam Leavitt, the Arizona State quarterback, who's paying
good,
a lot of money.
Is that guy that good?
I think he is good.
Think so.
Now, is he that good? I don't know. I mean, here's the thing. Like, Brendan Thorsby was the Cincinnati QB last year. Like, I thought he was pretty good, right? Like, I wouldn't say he was like a future star, but pretty good. And like, that guy's getting $5 million a year. So it's like, I don't know. Like, it's all monopoly money at this point. And so it's like, Leavitt is one of the better options, I think, than maybe what else was available out there. But there's certainly questions about it, and he was hurt for a lot of this year. And so how does that translate? But I do generally trust Lane when it comes to QBs.
That's true.
So if that's one of the guys he wanted, I buy into it. But here's the thing that'll be interesting is that Lane likes to invest on offense, right? And how does his defense fare at LSU? They're trying to add some guys late here, but at Ole Miss, one of the kind of issues I've heard about was that there are times where, like, hey, we really need this, whatever, defensive end. And he's like, I'd rather spend that money on a wide receiver or a running back or whatever. And so how does he balance that roster with kind of the money constraints that everybody's under a little bit will be really interesting. But to this point, he has certainly added a lot of talent to LSU.
Auburn's going to suck, right? We have a producer that's a big Auburn guy.
I mean, they've taken everybody from South Florida with them, right? So I don't know. I mean, could it be worse than it was last year?
We hope it is.
He's shaking his head no. So
we hope it is.
Hey, John, we appreciate it, man. Enjoy the game Monday night.
Thanks. Appreciate you guys.
You should sell your parking pass, dude. They're going nuts.